Before I'll start, I'll say I'm super excited, mainly because thank you, Yoel, for inviting me, but also it's the first time I'm speaking and my wife is in the room, so I hope I have the tendency of talking 400 miles an hour. I hope I won't do it too faster than that. So I'll start just give you context on who we are and our entire belief. So there's a great sentence that said that Amazon fixed buying, but they killed shopping. And I think we as a company, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Yotpo, we try to bring shopping back, and we try to support the brands that actually bring shopping back. And I want to show you a small glimpse, especially for people that don't live in the US, what's happening outside of Amazon that I think is really interesting. So first thing about us, we raised tons of money, around actually $120 million. We are 350 people across 4 offices. And what I'm going to focus actually in this presentation is mainly on what you see on the bottom of the screen, the brands that we work with, because they present the movement of what we're seeing outside of Amazon. Definitely the disruption of retail is probably the biggest disruption of our generation, but it's not just Amazon. So the first thing, just one slide about us. What we try to do is to bring think about the Amazon marketing platform, but for everyone else. So to bring all of the smart experiences. It can be how reviews are connected to your loyalty program, to your referral, to your videos, to your images. So we bring all of that with a lot of data science, by the way, behind the scene, to help you market yourself. So another thing that we have a really front row seat is what some of the most sophisticated commerce players in the world are doing. So on one hand, what Google, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Snapchat are thinking as we're working with them actually on a daily basis. On the left side is actually the most interesting players in the market. So I don't know if you know a company called Shopify. Shopify probably after Amazon, it's the largest lighthouse of the disruption of retail. It's currently now a $23 billion company. And basically, if you want to open your e-commerce outside of Amazon, your default will be now Shopify. And then what happened is Adobe is buying Magento for $1.7 billion and launching the Adobe Commerce Cloud. Salesforce is buying Demandware for almost $3 billion for Salesforce Commerce Cloud. SAP is buying Hybrid. So everything outside of Amazon is becoming really important to a lot of very big companies. And I'll try to explain why is that happening. On the right hand, by the way, you see other companies that are tech enabling for commerce, that we see a lot of them and collectively probably thousands of employees and raised hundreds of millions of dollars. And the first type of customer that we have that I want to talk about is probably the less familiar for this crowd. They're called the digital native brands. These are brands that started basically, I don't know, me and Yoel opening a t-shirt company and selling $1 billion of sale. And the most famous customer that we have is Kylie Cosmetics, the Kardashians, and that she is the youngest self-made billionaire. 14 people that reached to $1 billion in sales from 3 years. Unbelievable type of business, but also other companies. Allbirds, Third Love, Glossier, Hims, and there are now thousands of brands that are very vertical specific, that are growing extremely quickly, because of data, because of the winning on the experience, they're not winning on the product. So where Amazon cannot compete is, and there's a great sentence by the founder of Glossier, Emily, she was just interviewed, and by the way, they are probably one of the best examples in the world in cosmetics, and the interviewer asked her, aren't you afraid that Amazon is going to compete with you on the makeup and cosmetics? And she said, I don't know any woman that you ask her what you want from your makeup, and she will tell you fast and cheap. And I think those brands are really thinking about how they win Amazon on the experience, and not necessarily not on products, and not on fulfillment, and not on price. And they're doing an amazing job. You see it in every vertical, and that e-commerce is becoming very verticalized. And you see brands just enormously growing hundreds and thousands of percentage every year in unprecedented paces. So that's the first type of companies, and those are the new unicorns of the e-commerce world. The second type of companies that we work with is actually those digital native brands that are sold to larger companies. That's another big trend that we're seeing, right? So maybe a great example is Joule, that one of our customers that I think most of people know how they quickly grew phenomenally and now got bought. Movement, that's actually a company that not a lot of you know. So Movement is a men's watch company. The product is actually decent, but they really won on the experience and on the online experience that they give. They were just bought by Movado, so it's like two founders, never raised $1, were sold for like $250 million. We see like Procter & Gamble buying tons of our brands. We see Kellogg's, Walmart. And by the way, Walmart, if you look at Walmart's strategy, one of Walmart's strategy to compete with Amazon is actually buying brands and having brands and products and content that Amazon doesn't have. So one of our customers, Eloquy, it's actually a New York-based startup. If you want to buy Eloquy, you have to buy it at Walmart. You cannot buy it at any other place. So we also see like a really, really interesting trend that a lot of all big retailers or big CPG companies, and I'll talk about that in a second, why they are buying direct-to-consumer brands that historically they were very much against direct-to-consumer, right? They prefer to stay behind the scene. This is another example. So Sephora, and by the way, now Unilever and Procter & Gamble are launching every month dozens of new direct-to-consumer brands. So companies that don't have a clue on what to do with direct-to-consumer are actually going and doing that quite aggressively. And that's also like a really, really interesting trend on how they think they are going to compete with Amazon that I'm going to explain in a second. I also thought about like one very cool area that we see growing tremendously, CBD. So that with all of the new regulation, we see more and more brands are going and selling direct-to-consumer CBD products. That's becoming like a massive industry, and probably the fastest that we've seen growing as an industry collectively. And that I think in Israel, again, it's not because of regulation, you don't see it yet, but definitely there's probably one of the biggest markets out there for CBD products. So one thing very, very clear for our company and how we believe commerce is going to be, because you cannot compete with Amazon, not on price, not on fulfillment, the only thing that you can do is to build an experience that consumers care about and consumers talk about. That means the world is going to be Amazon brands. We think anyone that's selling third-party products will die. Yes, there's going to be a Sephora. Yes, there's going to be a Walmart. But what happened to Sears, Toys R Us, Claire, and Nine West will continue happening. And the best example we have saying in the company that we think Macy's is a real estate company and a very bad real estate company. And there isn't a reason to go and buy those products not on Amazon. Where you can win Amazon is that on the experience that you can provide the community that you can build for your own specific industry, vertical, it doesn't matter. The second thing that I want to show you, so this is a real photo that taken from Santa Monica Mall, if I recall. And this is 3 of our digital native brands, Untitled, Ministry of Supply, and Chubby's. All of them are opening offline stores. So it's not that like online is killing retail. No, it's very clear it's going to be a world of Amazon brands, and brands are going to sell direct to consumer offline and online. So offline is coming, and offline is very probably the top of mind for our customers. Another thing that's really, really interesting is we also think that all of the brands that we're going to serve are going to have a very tough few years because customer acquisition cost is really, really increasing. So Instagram, that's the main for most of the digital native brands, is becoming really, really expensive. Like basically the supply is over, or is starting to be over. So most of the brands are not just focusing on offline, but also focusing on retention, because customer acquisition cost is becoming really, really expensive. I actually want to skip like a few. ThirdLove, by the way, if you don't know ThirdLove, sorry, I'll go back. I'll try to go back. Probably I can't. No, I can't. So ThirdLove is the biggest competitors or biggest risk for Victoria's Secret. If Victoria's Secret is all about the Victoria's Secret models and angels, they took a different approach and they said we're going to be like a very inclusive brand. So for women of all sizes, probably the fastest growing lingerie business that the United States ever saw. Phenomenal business, probably the hottest names today in the US. I'll skip very, very quickly because I do want to finish it, at least like how we see the world. So post-Amazon, there's going to be like 4 trends on, I don't know if post-Amazon, because they're here to stay. But one is verticalization of commerce. So a lot of like verticalized focused commerce that's going to win on experience. Nobody wins on products anymore, meaning you have to have a good product, but everybody has a good product, meaning nobody buys a Nike shoe because Nike is the most comfortable shoe in the world. Those days are over. More digital native brands are going from online to offline. And eventually we're going to see like a lot of the sophisticated businesses that are able to succeed because retention is key. And they're able to increase customer lifetime value as customer acquisition cost is becoming more and more expensive. And I see Yaron here, so I'll say that I think commerce for Outbrain is a great segue because a lot of their customer acquisition cost is becoming really, really expensive. So thank you very much for having me. I hope it was not too quickly, and I hope it was interesting. Thank you.